scared and angry is really profitable. We need a massive reality check before these illusions lead us to destroy each other. So why am I talking about social media at this service that's supposed to be about UU Wellspring? Well, because Wellspring and other small group discussion programs that I get are a really powerful antidote to these distorted perceptions and the feelings of hopelessness they engender. At Wellspring, we meet in real places with real people and talk about things that truly matter. And the experience is transformational, especially for those of us like me who spend way too much time behind our screens. It's grounding, and it's healing, and it's hope-giving. And it's a potent reminder that even people we strongly disagree with are wounded children at heart, doing their best in an unjust and confounding world, every one of them desperately needing to love and to be loved, and nothing to be afraid of. We need to get back to real people in real places talking about real things, and that's what Wellspring is all about. And that's why it matters, that's why we make all the effort to offer it at this church. And I'll be talking more about all of this throughout today's service, but right now it feels like it's time to sing. So please join me in today's opening hymn. It's number 368 in the gray hymnal. Now let us sing. If another strains to breathe, may our voices be the gentle rise and fall. If another chokes on tears, may our voices be an opening to hope. If another has forgotten, may our voices be a memory upwelling. If another is adrift, may our voices be the calling of community. We are very fortunate today to have actually two musical guests, so please now enjoy our gift of music from Rachel DeTemple.
Well, some of you know me. I actually grew up in this church. My parents were Janet and Dwayne DeTemple. It's been a while since I've been here. The place looks great. I myself have painted these walls, but not this color. This is a couple of coats of paint ago. I live in Fairbanks, where I play the fiddle. I'm not going to play the fiddle today. Instead, I'm going to attempt to play the guitar and sing something. You know how you have those dreams where sometimes you're in front of people, like playing an instrument you don't really play? I'm here to tell you dreams really do come true. But I wasn't sure how I was going to introduce this song I'm going to do. I mean, this was obviously the right song to do, and there was no other way to do it except on the guitar. I too have been really stressed out for about the past year about where is this world of ours going, and what is my part to play in it. This actually started long before the election. I was called upon to do a show up in Fairbanks called Parlor in the Round, where it's 3 singer-songwriters. You all do an original song of yours, and then you all cover a song of someone else, and then you're all given a prompt. And we had a Zoom meeting about a month before this show, and we were all told to just look around and just say one thing we saw in front of us. I am, by trade, a high school librarian, and I had just cataloged a box set of Tom Clancy books, and on the box there was a blurb on it that said, "frighteningly genuine." And I wasn't really sure what that meant, but that's what I said, and that became our prompt. So I thought about what that meant. I think most of the good that can be done in this world is to make sure that you are absolutely your own genuine self first. Not much good can come from trying to be someone you're not. And it's okay to frighten people with your authenticity sometimes. Also, on the day of the election, I really did some thinking, not only like about how I was going to be my genuine self, but what commitments I could make. So I'm going to read to you what I wrote down on that day. If I have an opportunity to do or make or be something beautiful, let me answer that call with speed. Let me feel the full strength of the earth, the full heat of the sun, the full force of the wind, the full drench of the rain. Let me not shrink from any element to which I am subject. May I be filled with enough strength and peace to ignite that grace in others. Let me not despair or shrivel or shirk or be less than the full best a human can be. It's been hard to uphold that at times because I want to be petty and judgmental. I really do. An opportunity came to me about a month ago. I got a text randomly. I mean, living in Alaska, we don't have very many people up there, and there was a country musician coming who'd had 3 fiddle players fall through, and they needed a fiddle player. And I was, this was a Nashville country artist, and I was like, what is this going to be? Because, it had potential to be really bro-y, really, definitely was probably going to be, Guns, God, and Old Glory sort of songs, and I was like, well, what is this going to be? But before I even listened to anything, I talked to the drummer on the phone for 3 minutes. And he was such a genuine and wonderful human. And he talked about his friend, whose band it was, with such incredible love that I decided I was just going to say yes to it, whatever it was. And I'm so glad that I did, because we were such friends. And I don't believe that we agree on everything, and it didn't matter at all. Because I accepted them as my full brothers, and they accepted me. And at the end, we cried when they left. And the guy whose band it was had not had an experience like that in a while, where the people who played music with felt so much like family. And I needed that too. So it was well timed. But I'm so glad that I committed to love them before knowing them. And I think that's a really important thing to do. It is so easy to decide ahead of time that there will be division between you and other people, but you have a choice. You can choose, and to be genuine in your love. So I am actually going to play a song. I do promise that. I'm going to adjust this mic, though, first. The song is called Frighteningly Genuine, and it has some audience participation. There's some oohs in it, and you're going to do the oohs, and you're going to do them very genuinely. And no, I do not care if you can sing. That is not required. I mean, if I can play this guitar, you can sing, okay? And I'm going to invite you, as I get ready to play this song, to think of what you can mean with your oohs that is frighteningly genuine. What can you commit to for the time ahead? And yes, I will teach you the oohs. So the oohs are going to go like this. Ooh. Do that with me. Ooh. And that will come up several times in the song. You're going to do them nice and loudly and mean them. And really think about what that is that's going to be frighteningly genuine about you. That you can commit to no matter what is brought to you. writing up a song. Well, all that wind blew through the pines. That wind is strong as I can be when I just make up my mind. And I let the words come quickly like the spring is done this time, so they'd be frighteningly genuine. Well, I just passed half a century, so I'm on my center line. I wonder what I have to say that might be worth the time. I don't worry about tomorrow, I don't have an axe to grind, and that is frighteningly genuine. So I'll go on down the road without that money on my mind. I don't care too much for riches, I just want my peace of mind. And I'll think about tomorrow and all the ways it could unwind. I hope I'm frighteningly genuine. One good thing at a time. I don't care too much for drama, I just want my Valentine. And I'll think about my wishes and all the gifts that have been mine. Oh, they've been frighteningly genuine. There's nothing to rewind. I won't argue with the sorrow when it comes in on the tide. The trick is to be grateful for every minute of this ride and to be frighteningly genuine. I'm going to put out a pad of paper out there, and I'm going to invite you, if you're willing, to write down what you thought about what you were committing to. And I'll make sure my parents have it and bring back the list next week. It might be worth sharing. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rachel. That was beautiful music, and half tempted to just let your spoken words be our homily for the day and wrap things up. That was fantastic, and I appreciate it, right in line with what I'm planning to talk about as well. So it's a common sentiment today that the world is just a terrible place and getting worse all the time. And if you're a news junkie like me, it's kind of hard to escape that conclusion. What with the steady rise of authoritarianism and censorship, AI, climate change, the rising cost of living, political violence, the wealth gap, troops in the streets, and maybe we should go curl up with cat videos after all. Get that up there, Sam? But you know, something can be factually accurate and still distort the truth. Imagine judging a restaurant entirely on the worst dish they made all week, or claiming to understand the book after you've read a single passage, or judging a human being on the single worst thing they ever did. Okay, we actually do that last one, and we call it the justice system, but I talked about that a couple of months ago, so we can just move on. Would you really have the truth of the matter in any of these cases? Well, clearly not. And yet, this is exactly what we do when we watch the news or doom scroll on social media. The goal of the media is to make a profit, and they do this by holding our attention as long as possible. And they do that by only presenting what is most shocking or vulgar, divisive, and extreme, until it feels dangerous to even look away. Even if they manage to remain factual, perceiving reality only through the lens of what is most dire or offensive or extreme is almost worse than outright fabrications, because that grain of truth makes it that much harder to dismiss. What really makes online media so caustic isn't just that we're all constantly exposed to every single awful thing happening anywhere in the world. It's that when all we see are these extreme outliers day in and day out, we start to mistake this tiny sliver of distorted information for what's normal, when it's exactly the opposite. As an example, I recently read a study in which they asked conservatives what percentage of the population they think is transgender. Any guesses what they thought? Well, the average, this is the average, which means some people guessed way over, was 30%. They thought 1 in 3 people is transgender. Now, the reality is closer to about 1%, but this shows how much our perceptions can be distorted by the media we consume. If all they're doing is obsessing about transgender people, it starts to seem like a much bigger thing or more present than it is. So, a few other examples. I'm sure some of us here are old enough to remember when we thought we were all going to be wiped out by killer bees, or Y2K, or when Dungeons and Dragons was going to turn all our children into Satanists. Now, I'm not denying that there are some truly horrible things happening in our national politics and in international affairs that we do need to be paying some attention to. But that's not all that's happening in the world. It's just the worst of it. It's a blemish on a world where goodness and beauty are the norm, something we take for granted. I would also suggest that perseverating on the news and letting ourselves become consumed with anxiety might be the worst way we could respond to a wannabe dictator, as it leads to resignation and passivity. If being informed saps you of your courage, it might not be worth it. I keep a reminder above the computer monitor in my office at home, and it reads, "None of this is real." Just a helpful reminder, because it's not. Every last pixel on these screens is artificially constructed by a person who has an agenda. And maybe not even a person anymore. When you go on social media, a lot of those people arguing and saying offensive things are actually artificial intelligence. A lot more are people who don't really have convictions or principles. They were just paid to sow division and chaos. Many are freelance trolls looking to upset other people for fun, and even the real people on there end up as funhouse mirror versions of themselves, twisted by engagement algorithms and this general environment of hyperstimulation and aggressive attention seeking. In some sense, there are no people on social media, only performers. In a recent article in The Guardian titled, "Are a Few People Ruining the Internet for the Rest of Us?" Psychology professor Jay Van Bavel writes, "Our latest research suggests that what we're seeing online is a warped image created by a very small group of highly active users. Just 10% of users put out 97% of the political tweets. A mere 0.1% of users, so 1 in 1,000, share 80% of the fake news. 12 accounts, just 12, known as the Disinformation Dozen, created most of the vaccine misinformation on Facebook during the pandemic. These few hyperactive users produced enough content to create the false perception that many people were vaccine hesitant. But then, because people believed it, it became true." Pavel continues, "In this way, many of us are led to believe that society is far more polarized, angry, and deluded than it really is. We think everyone on the other side of the generation gap, political spectrum, or fandom community is radical, malicious, or just plain dumb. Our information diet is shaped by a sliver of humanity whose job, identity, or obsession is to post constantly. We have effectively handed over a megaphone to the most obnoxious people and let them tell us what to believe and how to act." End quote. Now, if all the delusion wasn't bad enough, when we perceive the world as a threatening place, we stop engaging. We stop investing in trying to make things better, and this in turn starts to make those lies and delusions come true. So what do we do about this? Well, it's actually fairly simple, and I already mentioned it in my opening words. We need a reality check. We need to spend somewhat less time on our virtual worlds, less time taking in the news, and more time in real places with real people. Go outside, get involved, have conversations, and remember that the news is the news precisely because it's not what's normal. None of us needs more likes or followers or reposts or digital friends. We don't need personas and influencers. What we need are neighbors. We need family and flesh and blood friends who can't just unfriend us when things get rough. We need humans, if only one knew where to find them. Okay, now for the sales pitch. UU Wellspring, what I actually said I was going to talk about today. I get there eventually. So UU Wellspring is a program of spiritual deepening for Unitarian Universalists. Participants in this program explore the historical and theological roots of Unitarian Universalism, reflect on their own spiritual understandings, and engage in spiritual practice together in small groups of about 10 people. Now, I know UUs love to debate, but Wellspring is actually focused on deep, attentive listening. So imagine going to a place where you can share your deepest thoughts and beliefs with fellow UUs, and they just listen without comment or critique. You don't have to defend your stance. You don't have to justify it. You get to just share what's inside. This allows for the kind of vulnerability and openness that allow for really deep, meaningful personal growth. Now, the Wellspring website promises inspiring personal and community transformation, a sense of personal purpose and meaning, an opportunity for spiritual deepening that leads to more joyful living. And that all can sound pretty hyperbolic, but having done the whole program twice, I can attest that it's actually accurate. It really is a life-changing experience. In addition to deep conversation, Wellspring consists of daily spiritual practices, work with spiritual directors, assigned readings, videos, and journals, and putting all of that into action in the real world. If that sounds like a lot, because it is, the program requires effort and a deep commitment, but that's exactly what makes it so transformative. So I hope that won't dissuade anybody who's interested, because it's well worth it. I didn't ask any of the former participants to give a testimonial today because I didn't want to repeat the UU Wellspring service I did last year, and because I ran out of time. But if you'd like to hear from fellow UUs in this congregation about their Wellspring experience, can the folks who have taken Wellspring raise their hands? So talk to any of those folks after service, or you can go watch the YouTube video from June 16th of last year when I did actually have testimonials. And if you'd like to learn more about upcoming Wellspring opportunities, find me after service. There's also pamphlets near both entrances where you enter in them before service. There's also a sign-up sheet. So if you'd like more information, just a name and an email, and I'll make sure you're on the list. And there will also be an information session after service next Sunday up in the third floor library. So if you're interested in Wellspring, I hope you'll take some information, sign up, attend next week, and we can fill in all the details and answer all the questions you might have. So watch your email. There will be more details about that info session. Even if Wellspring isn't right for you, if that doesn't sound like a good fit, there's no excuse for not getting involved if you're at UUCP. Beyond our Sunday services, we have small groups for quilting, folk dancing, scouting, Zen meditation, bridge, a grief group, a divorce group, yoga, and at this point, at least 15 different committees you could join. What else did I miss? Call it out. Mahjong, choir, men's group. Yeah, we have small groups, the Holy Crones. It's an active place. Do we really have that many people? And you know, even if there's not a group, like none of those groups sound like a good fit, really easy to get your own group started. So whatever holds your interest, whatever, what's that? Volunteer for Family Promise. That's a good one too. So whatever it takes to get you to show up, to be with these people, I think it's worth the effort. So if there is a need for another group, come talk to me. Now, and even beyond the church, if none of those fit, I can't begin to list all the opportunities for connection outside this church. Moscow is such a lively community. We're so blessed with all the nonprofits and other groups here. So the point is this: when the world seems most dark and hopeless and chaotic, it can be easy to want to withdraw, to hole up and to go be alone. I urge you to resist that compulsion. The magic recipe to restore hope and to renew our souls is to get together, real people in real places, and do something to make the world a little better. Do that and you'll start to feel more hopeful, I promise. That can be as simple as inviting a neighbor over for dinner, or putting down your phone and starting a conversation with a stranger. Though, that being said, I do really hope you'll sign up for Wellspring this fall. This is how we begin to heal everything that's broken in our country, in our community, and in our own lives. It's not from the top down, and it's not online. It's one relationship, and it's one small act of connection at a time. So let us now celebrate the joy of being here together by singing our closing hymn, number 188 in the gray hymnal, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. Thank you. That is the second time in a row that I've forgotten that song is supposed to be around, so I think I'm banned from that from now on. But thank you for those of you who joined in and did it that way anyhow.
Our closing reading is from Spiritual Practice for Our Times by Rebecca Parker. Give yourself the room to feel the sadness that comes with facing the fact that life on our planet is at risk and that the many forms of violence fracture the bonds of communion and break our hearts. Attend to your own despair. Allow yourself to grieve and to nourish the wellspring of our shared courage. We cannot offer the world the religious leadership it needs unless we cultivate in ourselves a deep and sustained knowledge of the beauty of life, the reality of sorrow, the goodness of one another, the richness of the world's religious wisdom, and the providence of life's bounty. This is asked of us now. Now is time for our musical benediction.
Please join me now in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this chalice that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light our paths as we leave this place. May it guide our way until we are together again. Thank you for being here together today. Some days I start to lose faith in people, and some days I lose hope for the future. Some days I don't know if I can make it through all the madness and the strife of the world that we're living in. And on those days, I come here and I am renewed, because whatever comes, I know we'll face it and we'll get through it together, and that's enough. I hope to see you in Wellspring this fall, and please don't forget the info session after service next week. Until then, please come downstairs for coffee and conversation. Thank you and blessed be.